The first part of our story ended with Snow White fleeing through the forest after the huntsman begged her. Snow White wandered deep into the forest, unsure of her path, but determined to escape her cruel stepmother. Suddenly, from the shadows, a gentle deer approached, its soulful eyes meeting Snow White's. She reached out, and to her surprise, more creatures emerged from the forest depths, curious rabbits, chirping birds, all surrounding her in a comforting presence. They seemed to guide her, nudging and hopping along a barely visible path, bathed in soft, filtered sunlight. Snow White felt a wave of calmness, trusting the forest creatures to lead her to safety. Their journey brought them to a quaint, snug cottage. Small flowers blossomed at the windowsill, and wisps of smoke rose lazily from the chimney. Snow White's eyes lit up with curiosity and hope. As she approached the door, her heart raced with anticipation of what lay inside. With a gentle push, Snow White opened the door to a charmingly rustic interior. Tiny chairs and tables, a quaint fireplace, and neatly arranged kitchenware greeted her. She smiled warmly at the cozy scene and, without hesitation, began to tidy the space, humming softly to herself. It felt like home. When night fell, Snow White found herself in one of the tiny yet comfortable beds, moonlight streaming through a small window. She drifted off to sleep, surrounded by an aura of peace and tranquility. Meanwhile, the dwarfs, illuminated by the glow of their lanterns, trudged back from the mines. Entering their cottage, they were astonished to find Snow White asleep in one of their beds. Their faces displayed a mixture of surprise, curiosity, and wonder. When Snow White awoke to see the 7 dwarfs gazing at her with both awe and friendliness, she was initially startled but soon felt at ease with their warm smiles. She explained her story, and the dwarfs, moved by her story, welcomed her into their home with open arms. Snow White found joy in daily life with the dwarfs, assisting them with chores and bringing a new energy into their lives. The cottage buzzed with contentment and activity. However, back in the kingdom, the queen's suspicion grew. She once again consulted her magic mirror, and its revelation left her face contorted in anger. Deciding to take drastic measures, the queen transformed herself into an old hag, her appearance changing horrifically amidst swirling shadows and bubbling potions. With a sinister grin, she set off through the dark forest, basket of poisoned apples in hand. The foreboding atmosphere mirrored her dark intentions. When the disguised queen arrived at the cottage, she offered Snow White an apple, her eyes gleaming with wicked intent. Naively intrigued, Snow White took a bite and fell to the ground, unconscious. The dwarfs, returning to find their beloved Snow White motionless, were stricken with grief. They placed her in a glass coffin, the forest bathed in ethereal light as they carried her into the woods. Days passed, and a prince, drawn by stories of a beautiful maiden, discovered the glass coffin. He was fascinated by her and kissed her, hoping to break the spell. In a miraculous way, Snow White woke up to the joy of the dwarves and the forest creatures around her. While the spell was broken, the evil queen lost her magical powers and her ability to harm others. The scene moved to a large castle where Snow White and the prince were married, surrounded by her dwarf friends and good people in a joyful celebration declaring that evil must disappear, and goodness and kindness must prevail. And everyone lived happily and quietly after that.